Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today me and John here are just going to have a little bit of a discussion about the Children in Need Doctor Who sketch.
Yes.
So I think overall, starting off, just what were your overall thoughts on the sketch itself?
Ooh, I don't know, because I went in with quite little expectation.
Yeah,
but,
I think people had a bit too high expectations,
Yeah.
I think personally.
I think we were both scarred from comic relief. So,
Yes.
I didn't go in thinking it was going to be this massive thing.
Yeah.
But for what it was, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, the particular highlight for me was seeing Julian Bleach back.
Yeah, that was a good surprise.
Davros. I wasn't expecting that at all. And when you hear the voice and he comes through and you're like, oh my god, it's him.
Yeah.
And I even thought, like, I said this to you, I don't know whether anyone else picked up on it. It seemed like he was trying to do a bit more like Michael Wisher Genesis kind of inflection there. Maybe I was the only one picking up on that. I don't know.
I'd probably have to watch it back to probably.
Yeah, well, we watched it twice just to be sure, but yeah. The thing I'll say as well, visually, I thought it looked really good.
Yeah,
the opening VFX shot of the TARDIS, and then the TARDIS flying through the ship into, like, sort of crashing into the side. I thought that was good. I wasn't expecting them to do that. I was expecting it to just land normally, because it's easier, but no, they went full out.
No, wait, like, when you have a new Tenant Doctor, he has to crash the TARDIS.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he has to do.
You know what, you're right. They have to get the crashing the TARDIS new Doctor scene in there somewhere. So they did it for the Children in Need sketch. Overall, I thought it was really good. I mean,
I thought Tennant was electric, like,
I thought,
the offset.
He was more comedic and kind of eccentric than I think he probably was as the 10th Doctor.
Yeah, I think he was like channeling some of the other Doctors, and David has said that he wanted to try and incorporate that in, so he was very more sort of, I don't know, I saw a lot more like hand mannerisms and stuff like that, maybe. Like,
it's interesting though, because like Russell T Davis's recent comment was that 14 was more human than 10.
Yeah.
And if anything, I'm seeing more eccentricity than I did with 10.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see, maybe it's just a case of the post-regeneration, I'm a bit all over the place.
Or it could just be for this, like, one sketch.
Yeah.
Like, maybe in the specials he's more human and grounded.
Yeah, because I do want to mention, like, people were saying, oh, but Russell said it wasn't a comedy sketch. I don't think it was in the traditional sense of Children in Need / comic relief.
Yeah, it was
comedy
fun.
Sketches. It was still like a little canon little thing, in the same way as something like Time Crash, where you're not supposed to take it, like, super seriously. And I think this was in a similar vibe to that, or, like, you know, all the various Matt Smith ones. I think when he said not a comedy sketch, he more meant, like, oh, it's not going to be the Doctor meets Pudsey Bear, and who's the guy from Fantastic Beasts that they had that one year? What's his name? The lead guy.
Yeah, I know who you're on about.
The guy who's just worse Matt Smith. Yeah. What's his name?
I don't know.
Eddie Redmayne, that's it. They had him call the Doctor one year. It wasn't that. It was like a little canon, little mini thing. And I thought for what it was good. I liked the comedian actor who they got to play the Carlette guy. I thought the jokes were quite good, obviously. I mean, the thing is, it's playing to a wide audience, so they couldn't really go too deep into it. I like that they, actually referenced the Carlette name. And, like, I think, for me, maybe the naming bit went on a bit too long, but I did like the gag about, oh, Daleks, that's good, exterminate, I'm writing this down, and the Doctor's like, no!
No! The 14th Doctor is now canonically named the Daleks.
Yeah, and given them the plunger as well. That was funny. I
saw some people, like, rumouring that, to be fair, on Twitter, that
he was going to be the way...
Oh, that this could be, like, the origin of the plunger.
It's a very Russell T Davis thing to do.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think he's supposed to take it super seriously, but I think that's something that I think the public will appreciate. Like, oh, that's why they've got a plunger, I think normal people watching at home will go, oh, I get it. That makes sense.
One thing I wasn't too fond of was the music.
Yeah.
I think the clown music was just a bit too much. I quite like the first motif when the Doctor lands. That was nice. Like a little bit of the Doctor Forever. That was nice. I loved that. But like when you got the more sort of ploddy clown music, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it did go on a bit. I thought like they were going to change the tune at one point, but they sort of just kept it.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest like downfall for this, where I was just like, oh please, don't ruin it with this.
I didn't hate it. I don't think I was as mad as you, or like I didn't dislike it as much as you did.
Yeah.
But I think I do agree in the sense that I don't know, tonally at some points it didn't quite feel quite right. It did feel very sort of 11th Doctor late era, like boom, 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 boom.
That's always
been
been one of my least favourite things about Murray Goldfield. It's more comedic, like beat.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I think it worked for some bits, but I did think, they could have had a bit more variety in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, again, I think people were way too... Like, I saw people, I think I said this to you, like, people were saying, Doctor Who is back tonight. And it's like, but it's not, though. It kind of is, but it's like, this was never going to be the big event. That's next week.
Yeah.
You know, like...
But I think this is a good little insight into that. Yeah.
It's a little taster, and I think that's all it needed to be. I love the little line about the timelines, the canon timelines being fractured or whatever that was. That felt like a funny little fans. We know you're going to think this is wrong, but it's just a joke. Yeah. You brought your Pudsey Bear over there. I'm just noticing. So, we're actually prepared for this. Also, we've got the Unleashed segment, which we just watched.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, honestly, not that I still really enjoyed the actual sketch itself, but I honestly was kind of more interested in what was being said in Unleashed than I was the sketch itself. Obviously, Stefan Powell, this was his first time doing Doctor Who Unleashed, the new presenter. I love his voice. As a fellow Welshman myself, he's got a much better Welsh accent than I do.
They found the Welshest man.
Yeah, they did. They found the Welshest accent, and I shouldn't have expected anything less. I also love how similar the graphics were to, like, Confidential, someone pointed this out on Twitter, you had, like, David Tennant, the Doctor, and then it was little spinning TARDIS.
I like that. Yeah. And as much as I hate the logo, like, when they announced it, I thought when it was actually animated,
I agree.
That looked alright.
I think that's the general kind of theme with this logo, though, is that it tends to look... People have, like... I mean, I like it regardless, but I know some people think that static, it can look a bit weird.
I think
but then when it's in motion...
model on products looks a bit off.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, I think in that little segment, I think it worked well. And it was cool to give us a little preview of Unleashed as well. I mean, it's a cool way of promoting Doctor Who Unleashed being back, or, Confidential-ish being back, same basic thing. But now with the presenter, it felt very confidential. It felt essentially... Confidential, now presented by a guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Essentially, that's what it was. And you know what? I'm not against that. That's about what I was expecting it to be. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about from Unleashed, and I've mentioned this on Twitter, and I think we were talking about it, was Russell T Davies made some very interesting comments with regards to Davros as a character. He essentially said that part of the reasoning behind presenting Davros in the way they did, for those of you who haven't watched the sketch yet, or aren't aware, well, by the way, go watch the sketch before you watch this video, but also, they present him in his human form, so it's not, what's his name, Julian Bleach in the Davros costume, it's Julian Bleach as Julian Bleach, pretty much. But he's got a bit of face makeup on, and he's got the Carlad uniform on, but this is him pre like, all of the war, scars and all the rest of it.
I think people have misinterpreted Russell's comments in that they think that he's more retconning Davros overall.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Yeah, where I think this is more putting a stance on, if we are doing this in the future, we'll depict him like this. Yeah. For me, I think they're more sort of being like, it's probably time to retire these traits. They're outdated. It's like... Yeah.
I have a pretty unique perspective on this for obvious reasons. For me, I've always loved Davros as a character. He's always been one of my favourites, but I have always felt that conflict because of the long-standing history within film and television of disabled people being the evil ones. It's a very, very old trope, tale as old as time. Find a villain, they'll probably have a trope where they're like disfigured or, or whatever. Facial scarring, like things like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, all that sort of stuff. It's a long, long-standing tradition. So to have Russell actually acknowledge that and say, times have moved on. I did see some people say, this is coming from the guy who wrote John Lumick. But personally, for me, I think it's okay to let people be like, you know what? It's different now, and I think I look at it different now.
To be fair, though, I'm pretty sure John Lumick, like, the actor, wasn't disabled before filming it. Like, didn't he injure himself? Like,
could be, actually, yeah. I'm not sure. I just think if we don't let people kind of adapt their approach to things 20 years on, and we're still holding them to things they said 20 years ago, I think that's a little bit, like, reductive, I guess. I think it's a little bit
more, this is children in need. It would send the wrong message.
Yes, that was another thing he said as well, wasn't it? That, like, there's so many, and even in the show itself, there were people with, obviously, I've got cerebral palsy and other things. Yeah. So having, like, a disfigured villain, that trope, would have looked a bit odd. Yeah. So I do understand his decision to, obviously, I initially thought it was just he wanted to set it pre-Genesis. But it seems like the reason they set it pre-Genesis might be more because of this.
Possibly,
to an extent. Like, so they could justify him looking...
the two just work. They complement each other.
And I like it having a pre-Genesis story. It was a fun little, concept for the thing. Here's the thing. I've got two very conflicting sides on this, because the one part of me is the disabled fan who totally gets this decision and really rates RTD for kind of saying this out loud, because I have seen people talk about it. The other part of me is kind of thinking, I probably would, like, if we are to do Davros in the future, I mean, I probably would rather we just retire Davros for a bit.
I've been thinking that for, like, the last couple years, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Davros, as a character, he's done with.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't have even brought him back after Genesis. I think he served his purpose there.
Yeah.
And now he's just sort of become, like, a sort of side to
the Daleks, yeah.
Like, he's cool, like,
I feel
as a villain.
He at least serves a purpose in, like, the 80s, where, like, you've got the Dalek Civil War, and then,
and to be fair, I think when they did bring him back in New Who, they did apply, like, a new context to him.
But things like, you look at things like Destiny, it's like, he's just
sort of there.
He's there,
Same with Remembrance, to be fair, he's just like...
Yeah. I mean, he's the instigator for the Civil War, but beyond that, it's kind of
he doesn't need to, like, I feel like you could have written around it.
Yes, no. I think, I don't know whether I would like the idea of him being retconned in the future as that, but I think I wouldn't be as, I think I'd be very much open to the idea of, in the past, we just show Davros from the past as a guy.
Mm-hmm.
If that's how they want to do it, fine. Personally, again, though, I'm more than happy to just sort of let Davros be. Now, I think we've done, I feel kind of similarly about the Master. As I say with Davros,
no, I completely agree with the Master.
Yeah, no, it's like...
Probably more so.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's more to do with Davros than there is with the Master, to be honest. But, yeah, no... So that was something that a lot of people were talking about. And yeah, I had a very interesting little thought about that. Also seeing David Tennant in Unleashed. It was his birthday. Yeah. That was fun. He sung Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
We now know what he was doing. Yeah, you're right. Because, was it Georgia? He posted that thing being like, oh, he always wears that, around the house at his birthday. But obviously it turns out he was filming for the Children in Need sketch, which makes a lot of sense. It's amazing how he just sort of wanders back onto set like no time has passed, even a year after he finished again. He just sort of slides, but he's like part of the furniture now. He's just like,
he's never going to be done with it.
No. He'll be back for the 70s.
We'll be sitting here in 10 years' time being like, he's back.
Yeah, mark my words, we will be seeing him again. But yeah, overall thoughts, I think it was a really good fun time. It's gotten me very excited to see. I think David's performance in particular has gotten me interested to see what he's doing for the 60th and how it's different and how it's the same or similar. But yeah, I do think people were a bit too just like, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. It's like, no, it's a Children in Need thing. And obviously, the main point of Children in Need is the children. Doctor Who is just the fun bonus we get on the side as fans. I'm glad they didn't make us wait like all night for it though, even though there was that weird thing where they said on BBC there's going to be a big announcement.
Yeah, and then there sort of wasn't.
There sort of wasn't.
I don't know if that was Lenny Rush or what.
I think it was supposed to be. I think they assumed that we didn't know Lenny Rush was in it yet.
Yeah.
Even though we're sad, and we've known that for about, 6 months?
Yeah, they did officially announce it,
a while ago, like back when Series 14 was filming. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, we did have to kind of watch it all just to be sure. Yeah. That's why we're late getting this out. But overall, I think we enjoyed it. In the comments down below, though, let us know what you thought about the Comic Relief sketch. If you did enjoy, be sure to give it a like. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to Jean.
I might make a video.
Yeah, or follow Jean on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Goodbye.